Hi, everyone, and welcome. This is our podcast again, the Motherland Group on Legacy Birth. And today we are going to be interviewing somebody special. She is an amazing mother of two. She's had a VBAC, and she also gave birth virtually. She is one of my clients. I got to experience her have her beautiful baby girl. And we are going to be talking about her story and her experience with having a virtual doula at her birth, which is very, very new, became very much more popular now, but very, very new. And also having a VBAC, which is one of the most empowering things a woman can do. So without further ado, let's welcome Haley.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. So, Haley, can you tell us a little bit about your previous pregnancy? That way we can kind of know why you decided to do things differently for your second baby.
Yes. I was 18 when I found out I was pregnant for the first time. And even though I was 18, had been living on my own, um, I was still kind of treated like immature. Things were kind of orchestrated for me. I was told that I should see a doctor who could handle a high risk situation because I had broken my back when I was 15. So there was a lot of worry about that. There was a lot of fear, definitely fear pushed at that time. Um, and since I'm rural here, this is where I was living when I found out I was pregnant. I went 4 hours away to Southern Nevada to live with family in the last trimester so that I could be close to a doctor who could handle a high risk situation.
Gotcha.
Um, And so I wasn't with my partner. I was with an aunt and uncle, and I'm super grateful for them. But it wasn't a favorable situation to be away from my partner, to be away from my home, and to be kind of like a guest in someone else's house for a few months. Um, and in the last month or so, I learned about Lotus birth, just doing research online. I learned about, the benefits of laboring at home for as long as possible. And I had told my uncle, I want to, when I go into labor, I just want to like take a bath and relax. And he was like, no, that's not okay. We're going to speed on the freeway and get to the doctor. And I was like, I understood why he was scared, but it felt like really out of my hands.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then my OB ended up scheduling an induction, and I went to be induced, and it was not successful. They put me on an overnight drip of Pitocin. The next morning, the nurse had told me that I had had enough Pitocin to send a full grown horse into a miscarriage, and nothing was happening for me. I didn't even get to go into labor. So, all this led up to a cesarean section, and it wasn't what I wanted, but it's how my baby girl got here. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I didn't even know that you previously wanted a lotus birth and like you wanted to do it the natural way the first time too.
Yeah. And it was toward the end that I had learned about it. But as soon as I learned about it, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. Like, this is so, so cool. This is just amazing. And then when I brought it up to people, they were like, that's crazy.
Right,
So,
right. So that makes sense because it was always kind of like natural in you, but you just didn't have the support for it for your first time around.
yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Or the confidence, really. I didn't, the confidence. And I think it, because I was young, but also because I was just kind of raised to just kind of go with the flow, do what you're told to do. So,
Mhm.
confidence and age, I think.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Hmm.
Okay, so you have baby girl,
Hmm.
and now you are expecting baby number two.
Yes.
So what made you decide? Because you decided pretty early on that you were going to do things differently. What
Yes.
happened there? What was that like deciding moment?
So I didn't want to be pushed around again. I didn't want to be put in a situation where I would have to have another cesarean section because I intuitively knew that there wasn't a reason. There wasn't a valid reason for my first cesarean section. So if I was able to just let it happen on its own, I knew that it could just it could just go smoothly. Um, but I didn't really know right when I found out that I was pregnant how I was going to do that. So I was kind of scared. Um, and then, yeah, I just got on YouTube and I started like watching videos of women giving birth. And then I saw you, Legacy, giving birth to Legend. And then at the end of the video, you like click that red juicy button down below. And then I saw that you had your doula course. So I thought I was just going to get the course. And then when I went on your website, I saw that you were also doing virtual doula services. I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you saw the virtual package.
Mm-hmm.
What was that conversation that you had with Tyler in regards to having, did you guys already know you wanted to do a home birth?
Yes. This is something that we talked about even before we knew we were pregnant. We knew that we wanted to do it differently the next time. So he wasn't surprised by any means when I was like, I'm not going to an OBGYN. He wasn't surprised. He was very supportive. Um, he watched your video with me. He cried a little bit. He was like, this is crazy. And then, yeah, he got on the website with me. He was like, every step of the way, he was there with me.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
so you already knew in your heart that this was something that you're going to do, which
Yeah.
goes to Dominique's question. Dominique, did you want to unmute and ask her this question? Or did you want me to go ahead and read it?
Um, I can ask it. Um, well, first of all, like I said, congratulations because you're so brave.
Thank
Um,
you.
I would have been so fearful, after going through the C-section and everything. So I really wanted to know, like, what was your biggest fear once you decided, hey, I'm absolutely gonna do this home birth after having a C-section,
Hmm.
like, because it can be fearful in itself just to
Yeah.
decide to have a home birth. So to have the strength to decide that you want to have a home birth after a cesarean, because people's biggest fear most times is like pushing the baby out after
Hmm.
being cut open or whatever. I'm not too informed on the vocabulary and like like really, really how being cut open affects the vaginal canal, but I would assume that it doesn't have too much effect on it. So yeah, I just want to know, like, what was your biggest worry or fear behind like moving forward with that decision?
Um, I guess I guess my biggest fear was that someone or something would step in and keep it from happening.
Mm,
Like in all my research, I did read about like uterine rupture and all the complications that could potentially happen. Really didn't scare me that much. Like I don't know why it didn't scare me that much, but I was just kind of like not affected. What really scared me was, I guess, having the experience taken away from me again. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I could hear the emotions in your voice since you started. It's feel free to like, it's crazy to relive your circumstances and your situations, but this is a safe space, so for
Yeah.
sure let it out.
Thank you.
You have to be an extremely brave person to have to sit back and like recall how your first experience went and really decide how you're going to be different moving forward. It takes a lot of strength to do that. So,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Dominique. Those are beautiful
Yeah.
questions. And it gives me chills when you spoke because you emphasized that it wasn't specific about the certain fears of what could happen. Uterine rupture is less than 1%, but
Yeah.
it was the idea that somebody was going to try to stop you from doing what you knew you could do.
Yeah.
It almost goes back to your first experience where you wanted to go into the water, you wanted to have a lotus birth, but someone got in the way of that. And I think it
Yeah.
really reflects like, and kind of goes to my like next question, if you would like sharing, like, was there anything specific that people were saying when they discovered that you wanted to have a VBAC?
Yeah. So, um, oh, there was so much, and it was mostly family. That was the really sad thing, is it was mostly family that were saying that I was being irresponsible, I was being silly and immature and trying to just do something that was trendy. um, I was told I was a bad mom, even though I knew it was for my baby, especially the aspect of Lotus birth. I knew that it was something I wanted to do for my baby. So to be told by someone that I love that I'm a bad mom was really, I mean, looking back now, it's really shitty. It was really sad. But I don't know, in the moment, I was pretty strong-willed. I was pretty headstrong about it. But even my mom kind of got some backlash because she was very supportive of me. And my dad too. They were both very supportive, but they kind of got cornered by other family members and were like, well, why aren't you asking this question? Why are you letting her do this? And she felt attacked just for being supportive of me. Um, so yeah, met with a lot of disagreement. Um, and I just kind of had to distance myself at that time because I knew that afterwards they would see the vision, they would see what I was going for, but in the time they weren't willing to accept it. I got laughed at. It was like, oh, is Tyler gonna do your cervical checks for you? And I was like, no. My mom even pointed, she was like, look at her birth plan right here. It says no cervical checks. She was so supportive. But not only was it disagreement, but a lot of people were angry at me, just angry. Yeah.
And I find that crazy. I can't believe
Mhm.
anybody would say that you're not a good mom when you are an amazing mom. Just have to put
Thank
that out there. Like,
thank you.
so gentle, so present. And you did what was right for yourself and your baby. And that's what makes you an amazing mom.
Thank you.
You're such a powerful person, and you have to have such thick skin to be able to hear your family members say those things to you and like still rise above that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's crazy how people gang up on women or just people in general when they're
Yes.
trying to do things maybe the natural way or the more holistic way. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we don't gang up on you guys when you decide to do something in the more medical way or a
Yeah,
non-natural way. But
exactly.
it's just like something that really provokes people about it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think like it's a part of the process.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's what made you who you are now.
Mm-hmm.
Going
Yeah.
through the feedback, overcoming this, having to go through what everybody told you you couldn't do. Like now you're this goddess who's achieved such amazing things. And it's like a part of like the portal almost. Like, you know, when you give birth, it's like a portal. You become this stronger woman, like this better woman. Like that
Yeah.
journey was your portal and you overcame it. So I'm so proud of you for that.
Thank you so much, Legacy.
Nefertiti has a question. Go ahead.
Yes, I would like to know, like, how did you go about recovering from the trauma of your first birth and the trauma of your second birth with your family members just tearing you down and trying anything possible to just make you feel like you're someone other than who you are?
So, um, as far as my first birth, I actually did struggle quite a bit mentally, especially because I had troubles overcoming some abuse from childhood um, that just like was resurfacing. So um, I had to take a lot of time to go inward and kind of break that down and understand just how to not let that be who I was moving forward, especially as a mother. Um, and then the medical recovery, it was traumatic. I didn't have a lot of complications necessarily, but it just was very um, intrusive, and it felt really just jarring to know that I was, I don't know, just like my whole body was tampered with in a way as far as the pitocin and breaking my waters. I didn't even know that they broke my waters because I was so out of it. But then when I talked to Tyler, he was like, "Yeah, they broke your water with a, not even with a hook. My nurse just reached up in there and popped it with her finger." And and then the actual cesarean section, I will say my OBGYN was very he was a very kind person. And I guess from stories I've heard of other people's cesarean sections, it wasn't so scary. Like he played music. There was like Road to Zion playing when my daughter was born. It was very it was as good as it could have been given the circumstances. But because I had such a different vision, it was a lot to get past. And then I think some of those things resurfaced when I found out I was pregnant for the second time, because it was like mentally I was reliving it, but with a second baby. You know, having my daughter watching this happen again, or having my daughter not be there at all and not get to be a part of her daughter, her sister being born. And so I did get scared and I did get frustrated. But then um Tyler was like a pillar for me the whole time. So he helped me to get out of my mind and to talk about what I was scared of and to face those things like, okay, well, if this happens, this is our plan. If this happens, this is what we're going to do. And so he's a huge part of why I became so unafraid in my second pregnancy. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that you talked about if this happens, this is what we would do. I think that is so powerful because it's such a good way to overcome fears, like speaking it out loud, sharing it, and like figuring out a plan to solve it instead of letting it overcome you.
Yes.
There's something that we kind of we talked about in the beginning, but I don't think we really went into the depth of it. So if you don't mind, I wanted to go back to the beginning with your back surgery because it wasn't just that you had a VBAC, you also had a certain health condition that could make people, not want to have a VBAC at all. So
Yeah.
a little bit more about that.
So when I was 15, I was sledding with my brother and our friend. It is very late at night, and it was like, one more time, we can go home. I'm just gonna go down one more time. And I went down, and there was a construction situation happening near this sled hill. I went down like backwards, like this, laying on my sled. And I shot off to the side and I hit a pile of construction debris. So it was like pipes, cement, trees, just a big pile that was covered with snow. And I had the wind knocked out of me and I stood up. Like my brother and his friend helped me stand up. And then I immediately fell over. Um, I had to be, actually, the weather was so bad that night that I couldn't be life flighted. I had to be driven 4 hours to UMC in Vegas. And yeah, then they said I had um, a clean break in one vertebrae, a chance fracture to another vertebrae, and then like 4 to 5 other vertebrae were fractured. And so they had to put in, they did a Harrington rod surgery. So it's basically like I had 3 vertebrae fused together, and then I have 2 rods and 4 screws at either end of the rods. And I still have them in. That was the only reason that I was told that I should be considered high risk in my first pregnancy. But I never had any issues as far as like the weight gain or anything like that. I was sleeping on a couch when I was living with my aunt and uncle in my 3rd trimester, so that wasn't comfortable by any means. But other than that, I didn't have any problems. So I think that's why I didn't feel like it was that much of a high risk situation the second time around.
And she's still able to labor normally.
Yes.
But it just goes to show that like not only did you have a VBAC, like you also had a really, really big surgery done to your back. And so
Yes.
you overcame that and you overcame that. It's just like
Yeah.
it's honestly like so amazing. So I kind of just wanted to talk about that again. So Nefertiti has another question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I would just like to ask, like, what made you feel like, I guess, comfortable or secure in having a virtual doula over one that's in person?
So I had just finished Montessori teacher training in Las Vegas. We were only in Las Vegas because I was there for the teacher training. And I found out like right as the school year ended. So we were in the process of doing a really big move anyways. So I didn't really want to have an in-person doula that I would have to like travel back and forth to see while we're making this move 4 hours away. so it actually was really perfect for me in my situation that my interactions with Legacy were virtual. I I did actually, while I was in labor, I didn't know this until after I had given birth, but my sister was communicating with family and like letting them know what was happening. And I guess my grandma had said, "Oh, is the doula there yet?" And my sister was like, "Yeah, they've been on a video call this whole time." And my grandma said, "Oh, but this is some sort of Zoom birth, like in a condescending way." And I was like, when my sister had told me that, I was like, "That's lame." Like, just like totally, like just making fun of it. I guess my sister just like stopped sending her messages after that too. But uh, for me personally, it was never an issue because I was already kind of like in a fast-paced situation. It was nice to be able to go in the other room while Tyler was packing and just be face to face, even though we're not like tangibly face to face. It was enough for me. I felt like she was so accommodating and open-minded, and she never made me feel like I was silly, which everyone else was making me feel like I was silly. So just the fact that she already knew the lingo, she already like I watched her go through it. It was really reassuring. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question because I think a lot of people, it's very new and it's hard for them to like wrap their minds around the idea that a woman would feel safe and comfortable with having their doulas virtually. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I think that's also like this what makes this conversation so powerful too, is because it's so unheard of. And so to hear
Mm-hmm.
your perspective on it is so refreshing. You know,
Yeah.
and she also had her sister there. So, I was able to communicate with her sister and Tyler so that, they could do the in-person things
Yeah.
that I would like, help them with. And so, yeah, so you kind of went a little bit into your birth. Let's dive in deeper. So let's talk about your birth story now.
Okay. So um I I had a long labor. I had a really long labor. It was like 2 days. um and I almost had Juniper on my grandpa's birthday. So I was like in the mindset, just like, she's gonna be born on my grandpa's birthday. And then that day came and went. And I was like, next day's just as good. Um, but then that day came and went. And those first couple days, like early labor, I was just super excited. I was so excited. I couldn't rest, even though Legacy told me to rest. I couldn't rest. Um, I was eating. I was mostly on the ball. Um, and I was like spending time with my family and like laughing and joking with my sister. It was really nice. It was really, really nice for it to be like that, even though I should have rested. I really should have rested. Um, and then when I did start to get heavier contractions in the second day, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I should lay down. But it was so powerful when I would lay down that I could only sleep for like 15 to 20 minutes at a time. I couldn't keep laying down. So I would actually be on the birth ball and I would just start falling asleep. And so my sister would have me on this side and Tyler would have me on this side and they would just kind of like prop me up and I slept on my birth ball because that was the only way I was super comfortable. Yeah, and then once it started coming on really strong, I remember Legacy, you had told me transitional is going to try to get the best of you. You're gonna really feel transitional. And then I was on my hands and my knees in my bedroom and I was like, oh, this must be what Legacy was talking about. This is the real deal. This is powerful. And I before I went into labor, I was really not worried, but I was just so unsure because I never went into labor the first time. So I was like, what is this gonna be like? What is this gonna feel like? Am I gonna even feel it? I don't know why. I thought for some reason I was like not gonna know and baby was gonna fall out. But it was very, very smooth. And then when I did start to feel it, that was when we started to do the in the water, out of the water, on the toilet, in the shower. It was like a lot of that. And because it had been a couple of days and we weren't sure if it was like gonna happen the first day, gonna happen the second day, Tyler wasn't getting a lot of rest either. So when I was in like fully active labor, he was like falling asleep on the bathroom floor and then falling asleep next to the birth tub. And so he was like listening, and every time I, okay, Tyler, he would like jump up right away and help me to the bathroom or help me in or out of the shower. He was like so tired though. And I could tell that he was getting, he didn't say it at all, but I know him, and I could tell that he was getting like, when is this gonna start moving along more? And at that point we were in the bathroom, and I had just been squatted over the toilet, and it was super powerful, and I was Legacy. I don't know if you remember, but I was like, ah! And then you told him to feel if he could feel the head, and he was like, I feel it. And after that he was like up, he was not asleep anymore, he was like in the zone. And then we went back to the water, and then it kind of slowed down again. And then you had me get out next to the tub, and I was in hands and knees, and then baby came out head first, but with the amniotic sac around her still. That's how Tyler says he remembers it. I didn't see. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, she was still in the sack a little bit, and Tyler poured water over because it was a little bit messy. And then he says what he poured the water over, and then it burst. My water bag burst. I didn't see, so that's why I'm the little part.
There was a lot of stuff there. And so
Yeah.
he was wiping away. And then once he was wiping it away, everything was like psh, and started leaking
Yeah.
stuff.
I remember the of it, and it was like a lot of pressure released.
Good girl.
And yeah, after that, I remember my mom was standing to the side of me, and she was like, because she only ever had cesarean sections too, so she was like so excited to see what this was gonna be like, because she also felt like she had her labor taken away from her by her doctors. So she was so excited. And I remember looking up in hands and knees, and she was like, the baby's head is out, you're doing it. And I was like, whoa. And then I just remember like a lot of like pressure and release at the same time when she came out. And then we went back in the tub, and she was on me, and it was so nice. It was such a good feeling.
Yeah. I didn't
And
want to,
yeah.
and then yes, I didn't want to interrupt too much because your story, and I want to hear, your perspective. But yes, keep going. You can keep going, if you would like.
Yeah. So then in the tub, had baby on me, was like drinking my juice, talking to you a little bit. And then the placenta was not coming out in the water like um so then you had us come to the bedroom, and I got on my bed, and I was like sitting over the edge of the bed and holding baby, and then Tyler was like trying to assist the placenta out because there was a little bit out. And there
It,
was like a go
it
ahead.
was like part of it was out, but there was a little,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And he got so scared because as I was sitting on the edge of the bed, he like his finger moved across like a little blood pocket on the placenta, and there was like of blood on the ground and on the bed. Luckily, we had the absorbent pads down, but it was, and he was like, "Oh, I popped your placenta." He was so worried. Um, but it was just the blood from around it, and that took it was pushing an hour and a half,
Yeah.
pushing 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it took so long for the placenta to come because I was just so tired because I didn't rest when I should have rested. So I was on hands and knees, and I had my phone with you telling me what to do on the bed. And that was when you said, okay, I think if it doesn't come out right now, we're gonna have to probably call EMS. And I was like, no, no, we're not. And so I was just like mustering everything I had and pushed, and Tyler pulled at the same time, and it slid. And what's interesting is didn't have, I'm quite positive, I didn't have tearing from baby. I had a little bit of just like rug burn situation. Um, and I think it was the placenta being there, and then it just. But other than that, I didn't have any tearing or anything like that. So yeah,
Yeah, the graze is, it's like a graze, right?
yeah,
That's normal. Like that's much
mm-hmm.
better than a tear. And
Mm-hmm.
because it was your first vaginal delivery, sometimes a graze is completely normal as well.
Yeah,
But I love your birth story because it, like, all of it is beautiful. And I really wanted to talk about the placenta part because a lot of people have this expectation of everything just happening super fast, super easy. And the fact that, it did take a little bit longer to get the placenta out, but that's
yeah,
it was still beautiful. Like,
yeah,
some placentas, they don't come out right away. And a lot of
yeah,
people will think that, like, that's a medical emergency. And yes, we were pushing closer towards that, but really it was just because you were tired. Like the beginning of the
yeah,
placenta, it came out because it naturally expelled out. We weren't even like
yeah,
fully trying to get it out. Um,
yeah,
and then the additional placenta, it came out because we actually tried.
yeah. Yes, 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 yes. It was. I remember too. My knees were tired. That was like, I was in hands and knees pushing. I was like, my knees, my knees. But yeah, it was really nice. It was really beautiful. I feel like I had a very beautiful placenta too. It was so like colorful and it was really beautiful.
Yes, and she was a big girl too. So
Yeah. Yeah, she was 9 pounds, 8 pounds, 9 ounces. I think that's it.
she was in the nines, right?
Oh yes, Luciana's 8 pounds 9 ounces. So Juniper was 9 pounds some ounces. Tyler remembers. I was so tired. Tyler did like all of the checks. He did everything. He
Yeah,
has everything down, but that part, yeah, I'm a little fuzzy.
that's a big girl. And like
Yeah.
even to deliver her vaginally as well, like
Mhm.
with no tears. I
Mhm.
mean, what?
Yes, yeah.
Like
Super
so,
proud.
yeah, like you did literally, you did so, so well. And like I always, when I think of determination, I think of you because your birth, it wasn't that, oh, that birth, that fast birth. Like you had to put in so much mental work and like
Mhm.
be so confident and like keep your eyes on the prize. And even when I said we might have to call EMS, which I hate saying because it's like, oh my God, everything's going perfect. But even to have that like determination to be like, nope, like we're doing it, like right now, is coming out. Like that confidence, that level of confidence that she has, that's what a that's what a woman needs to have a VBAC. That's what a woman needs to have an empowering birthing experience. And like
Yeah.
it's I'm just so proud of you. So
Yeah.
um what would you say like it was obviously a beautiful birth. What would you say would have been the challenges to having a virtual doula? And then we'll talk about what are the things that you really, really liked.
So challenges, I guess. I think that it was met with so much resistance by the people around me too, was because I was doing it unassisted. And so then the coach that I had was not an in-person coach. So it didn't make sense for everyone else around me. But I feel like maybe what could have been difficult was that like I mean, I'm really lucky that I had so much support in Tyler and my sister and my mom and my dad. So I don't feel like I was missing a whole lot. But I think for others, like putting myself in someone else's mindset, I guess, would be like I really don't even know. I don't know why it's hard for me to like think of that, but
It's because you're so different and you're so like, it's just so you. So
yeah.
for you, it's like, well, it was perfect for me. Like I
Yeah.
travel, like I'm able to talk to Legacy. I probably would have done it by myself, and now I have her with me. So it's like a
Yeah.
vet. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I completely get it. And like I would say the challenges for me was not being able to like, for example, the placenta. If I was there, I
Mhm.
would have been able to just easily just slide it out. Um,
Yeah. I
but
guess, yeah, exactly. Something like that. Because Tyler was afraid of being too uh, aggressive, I guess. Um, he didn't want to be, forceful, or there wasn't a situation where he wasn't overly gentle. So I guess it would have been helpful, I guess. I feel like it was fine, but I feel like other people might have been like, oh, it would be nice if someone who's experienced could have been there to, tell me yeah, that's your mucus plug, even though you did send you pictures of it, or say like, we got to do this, or let me feel and see, or let me look and see. I guess, yeah. There are benefits for other people about having someone in person.
Mhm.
And I'm just mutable. I'm pretty like go with the flow. So it all worked out for me.
Yeah. And everyone's different because having someone, some people would see that as a benefit, having someone
Mm-hmm.
there, but other people would have that as a benefit, but also a con too, because like you said earlier, you didn't really want someone that could possibly change the direction of your birth. And sometimes
Yeah.
there's certain midwives, certain OBs, certain doulas who
Mm-hmm.
they might get scared and they might not have that, there might not be that verse in allowing the mom to labor and the placenta take a little bit longer, and that would be an emergency for them, and then
Mm-hmm.
that would change your birth experience.
Exactly.
So I understand why, like for you, you're like that was okay for you because it gave you that
Yeah.
space, it gave you that time, like, and you were able to like, you know, Tyler was there, you guys did it together, and you guys became you now you have the skills. So even if you had a baby another time, you'd be able to do
Yeah.
it much easier. He's gonna be like, oh, the placenta. Whoop.
Yeah, exactly. Tyler's actually said too, he's been like, man, one day I'm just gonna be like out in public or out in the world and someone's gonna go into labor and I could potentially catch their baby. And I was like,
Right.
I mean, sure, yeah. Yeah, he's
Like
funny.
this experience made him really confident too.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh yeah. He was saying a couple weeks ago, he was like, what if we do like doula services and you're like the mom doula and I'm the dad doula and I get the dads ready and
Mm.
then you get the moms ready. And I was like, that's actually a really cool idea. That would be really fun too, because I feel like a lot of times dads can be kind of like pushed to the side. And so I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yes, that is a really good idea. I think a lot of people would love that. And I think dads would
Yeah.
like because
Yeah.
you do feel pushed to the side. And they don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like their voice is valid or they should be talking about this topic. But they should be because it's their baby too.
Yes. Yeah.
But I didn't know that he was like getting so into it too, but it makes sense because guys, him in the birth, he was A plus. Like when you think of dads during birth and the support that you would love to see for your clients, he was A plus. Like
Really what?
he would bring her water. If he was always checking on her. If I
Mm-hmm.
said something like, "Oh, can you do this?" He was like on it in like seconds and like yeah, and he never put fear onto her.
No, we were actually talking about it just a couple weeks ago, and he was like, if I'm being honest with you, there were a couple times that I wasn't skeptical, but I got worried about how it was all out. But he never said that to me because I told him, I told my sister, I told my mom, my dad, I told everyone who had the possibility to be there when I went into labor. I was like, look, if you cannot keep your mouth shut, basically, like if you cannot keep it to yourself, you will have to leave. And I had to say that mostly with my mother-in-law because she actually chose. She was like, I'm leaving, I'm gonna go to Vegas, gonna go see family, let me know what happens.
Wow.
But like, I'm not a confrontational person, but I was like, you're not going to get inside my head
Mhm.
because nothing's gonna happen. I don't know why I knew nothing was gonna happen, but I truly, especially since Tyler's told me that, I truly think that me and my baby in my belly were the only people who knew that everything was gonna be okay. Because everyone else, even if it was for just a second, got scared at some point.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That is so powerful, Haley. And I've seen a different side of you that I have not seen before.
Yeah.
All making sense because you are so gentle and calm, but the fact that you did that, it it all becomes full circle because I did that too. And I feel
Yeah.
like that has to be said because you're protecting your space and you're
Yeah.
protecting your children and your family. And like
Mm-hmm.
I said that I sent a message to my mom. I said, listen, you want to be a part of it? She was like, yes, yes, yes. Okay. Well, you don't say nothing. And if you're scared or you have something to say, leave. And so
Yes.
he was zoop, just right. And
Yeah.
you have to protect your mind and you have to protect your birth and you did that. And now it
Yeah.
makes so much sense why everybody was just like there for you and
Mm-hmm.
they weren't going to ruin it because you set that in place prior.
Yeah.
Love that. I love that. I love that. Nefertiti has a question.
Yes, so regarding that, because you mentioned that you and your baby like both just kind of knew that everything was going to go perfectly as planned and things like that. So I just was wondering, like, was there any specific connection that you knew you had with your spirit baby before she came into this world? Like, was there any communication that you were having with her, and how did that look?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, with both of my pregnancies, I would talk to my baby so much. I especially like in the shower, like with the water. I talk to my babies so much. And I would do little things like especially when they would move, I would feel like I would kind of poke lower down and then I would wait a minute and then they'd poke in that same spot and then I'd poke up higher on my belly and I'd wait a minute and then they'd poke in that same spot. So it was like I would even play with them when they were in my belly. So and I would sing to them all the time and talk to them. So there was already like a lot of interaction happening there. And I think um I really I got frustrated a couple times and I got nervous a couple times in the very beginning, but I think the reason I was able to keep such a level head and a calmness about me was because I knew that that was for my baby even more than it was for me. It was, I guess I wanted my baby to be on that level of just like calmness and peacefulness. Um, I mean, me, I was like, yeah, it's nice to be peaceful, but my baby is not going to be in turmoil because I felt like with my first baby, there was just so much that was just out of my hands. And she didn't get a chance to try to be born, you know? So I was very, very extra careful with my mood, my behavior, my attitude when I was pregnant for the second time.
I love that. I love that. Um, I have a story about you that I'm gonna
Oh.
because it kind of goes to like what you were saying about like knowing like that just like deep knowing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you joined the program, there was just something about you that like when you spoke, it like spoke to my body. Like I just like felt it in my core, in my heart. It like feels and it's so hard to explain, but I just knew you were special. Like, and I knew your family was special. And when you went into labor, actually before you went into labor, I remember being in the shower and the water was dripping over me, and you were talking about how the water was dripping over you, and like God spoke to me and he literally told me to take care of you. And I remember it, and I was like, Haley, and he said to take care of you. And like literally from that moment, I knew like I would never give up on you. I would never switch your birth, or I would do whatever I could to like make sure that you guys were safe and that you had the birth that you envisioned. And I just wanted to share that with you. But yeah, you're really, really special, and like your daughter is so special too. And like I'm so happy for you.
So much. That's beautiful. I mean, I would not have had the experience that I had if it weren't for you. And for it, it really like means the world to me that I was able to find you when I needed you. You were available for me all the time, and it was just exactly what I needed.
Yeah, it's like destiny. It really was.
It really was. Thank you so much.
So, what would you tell a mom who's wondering, can women really have virtual doula support? Like, what did you like about having that support? And what would you say to somebody who's thinking about doing it?
I would say definitely go for it. Like, I felt like it was more on demand in the sense that I could just send you a message and you would immediately respond. You would give me advice. Like it 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 was so empowering. It was never intrusive. Um, I think if anyone is considering a doula, a virtual doula can do just as much for you as an in-person doula, because she's there to set you up for success. She's there to not just have a bag of tricks, but to put the in your hands and give you the tricks and let you know all of the information that you need to know. It's not like a sorcerer who's coming from a faraway land and she's going to reveal secrets to you. It's not like that. It's like, this is what it is. You want to know this? Here's all the information you need. Here's charts and slides and programs and exercise videos and everything that so that I could do it all myself. I think everyone deserves a doula, and for a lot of people, a virtual doula is the best option.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You had a question.
It's not really a question. It's just a realization that I had. Earlier, I was saying how strong you were for deciding to have a VBAC, but deciding to have a VBAC and then have a virtual doula, are you crazy?
and unassisted.
Yeah,
So no one else there.
that's insane. Like your story needs to be platformed somewhere. That's just crazy to me. Yeah, that's all I need to say.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So impressive. And I this story, like, it inspires women who might be wanting to have a VBAC. It inspires women who might be high risk. It inspires women who have like complications with their body. It inspires doulas too, because now especially when you're starting out, you might have that like wonder in your mind is, does a woman want a virtual doula? Would she even see the benefits of having me virtually? And like it
Yeah.
opens us to see like even with like our experience, like how beneficial it was. And so yeah, Jody Ann just said it's inspiring me to trust the virtual process. So
Yes. Yes.
Dominique said, gotta go to therapy and get this inner child healing. Love you guys, Haley. You are phenomenal. Nobody like you, girl. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dominique.
You are honestly amazing. I'm going to put all the information for you guys to learn more about Haley in the link in the description because she also has her own doula business now as well. It's called Returning to Earth Doula Services. And
Yes.
especially for those moms who want to have a VBAC, like she'll really, really help with that process because she did it herself and she knows she can really relate to the things that you guys are experiencing and feeling.
Yes.
So much, Haley, and thank you, Dominique and Janissa and Jonianne and Nefertiti and Stasia. Thank you guys all for being here, and we will wrap up now. So yeah, bye guys. Click that red. Just
Down below. Down below.
subscribe.
Bye, guys. Love you.